Hi, my name is Angie Wong, and I am president of Legacy PAC. We just came off a huge bus tour across the nation where we went and supported Republican candidates that were running in the midterm elections. We're going to do it again in Georgia for Herschel Walker during his runoff. And of course, we're mobilizing for the big presidential run in 2024. We would love your support and your donations to help us hold the line for the America First agenda and to support the next generation of conservative leaders. So please go to legacy-pac.org. That's legacy-pac.org. Thank you so much for your continued support.
I'm Jared Craig with the Vet Voice Podcast. On behalf of Veterans for America First, I have the pleasure of speaking with Marci McCarthy, who is a very well accomplished and active political participant in the DeKalb County GOP. I understand you are the current DeKalb County GOP chairperson. Is that correct?
Yes, I was elected in April of 2021 as DeKalb's GOP chair. It's been an amazing journey and adventure so far, and loving every minute. Our mission is to really vote DeKalb red, and we're making some progress there.
Well, that's a difficult task, but you've been involved. You've actually been a CPAC speaker. You're an election integrity expert. You also run your own cybersecurity company called TEN, T-E-N, and you're the former vice chair of communications and chairman of the DeKalb County GOP Breakfast. You've been in charge of the Foundation Board of Governors for the Georgia GOP. You're a national delegate representing the Georgia 6th at the RNC in 2020. You're a current member of the NRA and its Women's Leadership Forum. You've been a top fundraiser for Donald Trump's campaigns. You're a successful businesswoman and entrepreneur. You've been promoting the advancement of women and minorities, and you're not a transplant. You've been in DeKalb County for 27 years.
That is true. My husband's a native Georgian, though, so he outpaces me.
Well, there's something to be said about those that have a going concern about the Georgia elections, the Georgia business. Our family, our friends are here. My family's been here forever, and 27 years. I think that you could call yourself pretty much a native with all of the other people that moved in more recently. So the 2022 election, we've just gotten past the general. I understand that you have assisted in the firewall to prevent some of the election games that were supposedly going on. So could you explain your role and what you've been doing with the 2022 election?
Well, absolutely. First and foremost, what we've been able to do is not just restore, but we're ensuring fitness, faith, integrity, and trust in our elections in DeKalb County. And we've led that process from the very beginning following the 2020 elections. I was a vote review panelist, and I saw something and I said something across the board. But rather than looking in the rearview mirror, I needed to look in that windshield and say, hey, how do we make this never happen again? So I worked tirelessly with our elections board by appointing Nancy GETTR as our vice chairman and Anthony Lewis, reappointing him actually to our elections board, as well as building a joint stakeholders group with our elections leadership, as well as the Democrats, and sitting at the same table to accomplish fair and transparent elections. So we meet before every single election, about a couple of months in advance, to agree on the rules of engagement, from everything from when the poll watchers would be working in the shifts, what the procedures are for credentialing, check-in procedures on election night, to vote review panels, the whole gamut and spectrum across the board. And we have done that for every single election, starting with the municipal elections in 2021. So what we were able to do by the time we were entering to the general election in 2022, we had a process down. We have good communications, we have working relationships. So when we have a question, we just simply ask. If there's something that's not going correctly, we raise our hand and get clarification. So when we see something, we're saying something. And the great part about it is we're resolving it while it's happening versus waiting till the game is over. So as it pertains to what we've been able to accomplish with our Get Out the Vote in DeKalb County, is pretty extraordinary. To tell your listeners, first and foremost, we are the second bluest county in the state of Georgia and the fourth largest county. So this, it is a blue wall by all stretch of imagination, but we became one of the firewalls that got Governor Kemp reelected as governor. We got the vote out in the primary and doubled our Republican voter turnout by building relationships with our community, contacting and connecting with new voters, extending and growing our organization, and again, restoring that fitness. So fast forward to the general election, I'm really pleased to share with you that we improved our Republican voter turnout, getting Brian Kemp reelected by 11%. So taking 20,000 away votes from Stacey Abrams' bucket, and then adding another 5,500 to Brian Kemp's bucket. So the fact of the matter is we should have been a blue county, but when you look at us overall on a map that the AJC just came out with, they show us as a dark pink county.
Starting to trend the other direction. Now, I'm seeing this nationwide. I've been in many different states during the primary and during the general election lead up. What are the main issues that you saw from the Dekalb County voters that were swinging their votes from blue to purple to now light pink and getting to red?
When you're really connecting with voters, it's about kitchen table politics. So we really focused on what the important message was about our community and things that matter most to us: our schools, our economy, the crime prevention, that, a lot of places have, crime has gone skyrocketing, where places that are not normal crime-ridden places, people want to feel safe in their communities. They're mad about the inflation. They're just mad that about so many different things right there that the Democrats have brought forth, their failed policies. So what we were able to do is really connect to our voters and talk about the people and solutions to the problems versus about the party itself.
Well, good. You hit the nail on the head there. Kind of, it's almost like a perfect prompting. I have spoken with lots of candidates, and what I've seen is the division between the conservative or the Republican side versus the liberal or the Democrat side is the scope of the issues, being on the Democratic side, emotional, social issues that even if you solve those, will not change the price of gas, will not change the value of the dollar, versus the conservative angle. The Republican agenda is to focus on the economy, to focus on the value of a dollar, focus on keeping a country operating without the distractions of the social issues. Now, as you've gone through DeKalb County, and have you seen the erosion of the importance of the social issues and waning more so, sorry, not waning, but that the decision making is more so, like you've said, in the pocket, the kitchen table. The dollar, the almighty dollar is going to be the same for Republicans and Democrats. Do you see that?
Yeah, we do to some degree. But I will not lie. The abortion factor is still a hot issue for a lot of white women in the suburbs across the board. So it's a very emotional issue. For most people, it is not a kitchen table discussion that you're going to have with your family and friends overall, but it does rest in a lot of people's minds that might be more comfortable with their socioeconomic situation. So they have that ability to have that luxury to have more emotional, engagement in elections versus that they're worrying about a paycheck to paycheck situation or what they can or cannot put on their kitchen table. So when you kind of go with the economic status, I think it has a hand-in-hand kind of symbiotic relationship. So the women that are more affluent, that don't have to, that are not freaking out per se or upset, it's more of an annoyance that their butter is double the cost it was, 12 months ago, and it's, more to fill up their cars with gas and things like that, but they're not making hard sacrifices, where there's a lot of people that are certainly very, very impacted by the economy. Like we're going into Thanksgiving right now, and it is astounding. And we're hosting Thanksgiving, and it's astounding how much Thanksgiving dinner is going to cost for Americans across the board, as even what it was last year, and we were talking about it being expensive. This is supposed to be the most expensive Thanksgiving. So I don't know if everyone's going to have everything on the Thanksgiving table this year, across the board, but the emotion of things definitely is there. But I will say this, overall, I think when I talk to a lot of different voters in Georgia and across the board, I think a lot of people remembered very acutely that Brian Kemp reopened Georgia first. And when they look at their friends and family and counterparts in other places that remained locked down, and our children were, back in school, overall, and we didn't need a vaccination passport to go eat dinner with our girlfriends. A lot of people remembered that and took that with them. And that's why they pulled a Republican ballot in the primary, and then continued that momentum all the way through the general election. So that, at the end of the day, I think has a long standing. So that does kind of take the top of the cake, because they liked what they had and they didn't want to lose what they had, but they had a little bit of the luxury to kind of go on the down ballot side to say, hey, abortion is an issue more down ballot for me, because that is a state issue.
Exactly. You also brought up that issue. I've seen so many federal candidates running on state-only issues, and I brought it to their attention. And this is up all the different states, up the East Coast, out the West Coast, and I find that it's on both sides of the aisle where candidates are speaking to the public on issues that they cannot handle. If you're running for a federal office and you bring up things like abortion, or you bring up things that are solely to the states, now with the Dobbs opinion, and I'm not sure if it's disingenuous or if they're trying to get the single issue voter. And I see that kind of as a constant, and I'm not sure how to cure that except with further education and trying to bring some attention to what your local representatives can do for you versus what your federal representatives can do for you. So I appreciate you getting out the vote, getting out the education, and doing the hard fight in Dekalb County, Georgia. That's a uphill battle, but that's where the battle needs to be had. So if people want to go online and find out more about you, more about what you're doing, how they can help in DeKalb County, where they can go and attend meetings or to make donations, how would they go about contacting you?
Well, absolutely. You can go to dekalbgop.org. You also can go to votedekabred.com. We also are in need of poll watchers for the runoff election. So you can also go to dekabpollwatchers.com. And on election day, in a set of precincts, we'll be paying for poll watchers' time. So we're very excited about that opportunity to really ensure fitness in our elections, but we would welcome anyone's support across the board. And that's Dekalb, DEKALB, GOP.org.
Well, I want to remind our voters in Georgia that November 28th is the early election for the runoff, and December 6th is the final day to vote in the runoff between Raphael Warnock and Herschel Walker. And I'm going to say, run, Herschel, run.
Run, Herschel, run for sure.